Usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of absolute clarity.
Right, yeah.
It's almost like structural engineering. You break your arm, the X-ray shows that jagged white line on the screen, and the doctor just points and says, well, there it is.
Yeah, it's completely binary. Like, it is either broken or it is not broken.
Exactly. It's clean. But then you step into the world of digital data, enterprise networks, and cybersecurity, and suddenly that X-ray machine is it's utterly useless.
Entirely.
We are looking at a landscape of invisible threats, infinitely sprawling networks, and honestly, a concept of trust that is incredibly murky.
Yeah, murky is a great word for it.
Right. So when you log into your corporate network or upload a highly sensitive medical document to a portal, or even just check your bank balance, how do you actually know that sensitive information is safe?
It really is the ultimate trust exercise, mostly because you cannot physically see the protections in place.
You just have to hope they're there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are relying entirely on invisible architecture.
Yes. And that invisible architecture is exactly what we are going to explore today. So welcome to the WeCyberYou Unlock podcast.
Glad to be here for this one.
Before we get into it, I want you to take a quick second to follow the channel so you never miss a deep dive.
Definitely do that.
Today, our mission is to completely demystify a framework called IEC 2701.
That's a mouthful.
It really is.
Yeah.
But we have a specialized source document that breaks down this massive, internationally recognized standard.
Yeah.
Because every single time you hand over your data to a hospital, a global cloud provider, or a bank, this document is essentially the blueprint the world uses to ensure your data does not fall into the wrong hands.
And it is a deeply fascinating blueprint to unpack, really. What stands out immediately in our source material is the framing of it.
How so?
Well, we so often reduce cybersecurity to just software, right? Like assuming it is all about deploying the right antivirus programs or, configuring firewalls.
Right, buying the newest tech.
Exactly. But our source explicitly frames ISO IEC 27001 as an internationally recognized standard for managing and protecting sensitive information within an organization.
Oh, I see. Managing.
Notice that word, yeah, managing. It is a systemic approach, not just an IT checklist.
Okay, well, let's unpack the origins here.
Yeah.
Because the document mentions it was developed jointly by the International Organization for Standardization together with the International Electrotechnical Commission.
Yes.
Now, I understand the standardization part, obviously, but the International Electrotechnical Commission.
It sounds a bit out of place, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, why is a body that deals with electrical and physical engineering co-authoring a standard about digital cybersecurity?
That is such a brilliant detail to pick up on, and it perfectly sets the stage for how comprehensive the standard actually is.
Okay.
See, digital data does not exist in a vacuum. It lives on physical hardware. It relies on electrical grids, cooling systems, and physical cables. So the inclusion of the Electrotechnical Commission signals, right from the jump, that true information security bridges the digital and the physical worlds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because you cannot protect the software if the hardware is compromised.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So looking at how this is applied, I'm trying to picture what this actually looks like in practice for a massive enterprise.
Sure.
Is this standard like a recipe book? Like an organization just follows step 1, step 2, step 3, and boom, they're suddenly secure?
No, not quite.
Or is it more like an architectural building code, meaning a set of structural stress tests a skyscraper must pass so it doesn't just collapse under pressure?
That second analogy is spot on. It is absolutely an architectural building code. If we connect this to the bigger picture, a recipe book guarantees a specific cake if you follow the steps exactly. But every single organization is fundamentally different.
Right. They all have different ingredients.
Exactly. A global tech company scaling cloud infrastructure has an entirely different environment and risk profile than, say, a regional government agency.
Yeah, that's true.
So ISO 27001 provides a structural framework. It dictates the structural integrity required to withstand a storm, but it allows the organization to design the actual building.
I love that.
And the ultimate goal, as the source states, is to protect information from cyber threats, data breaches, and unauthorized access.
Right. And the source mentions it achieves this by focusing on 3 core principles of information security.
The CIA triad, yes.
Exactly. Those 3 principles are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, knowing our audience, I think when we hear the word cybersecurity, almost everyone immediately jumps to confidentiality.
Oh, absolutely. The immediate association is always unauthorized access.
Right.
Keeping the bad actors out of the network.
Yes. And the source defines confidentiality as ensuring information is only accessible to authorized users, which we understand that natively.
Right, it's intuitive.
But I want to push on those other two pillars, because even in tech circles, they often take a back seat in casual conversation. Let's look at integrity.
Okay.
The text defines integrity as ensuring data is accurate and not altered improperly. Why is data accuracy placed on the exact same tier of importance as keeping secrets?
That's a great question. Think about it this way. Imagine an attacker breaches a massive financial institution's network.
Okay, worst nightmare.
Your immediate fear, naturally, is confidentiality. You assume they're going to steal account numbers, dump them on the dark web, and just drain funds.
Right, the classic heist.
But what if they don't steal a single file? What if they just quietly navigate to the bank's internal ledger and alter a few decimal points?
Oh, man.
They change your balance from $50,000 to $50.
Oh, wow. That is terrifying, because the data never actually left the building.
Exactly. The secrets were kept, technically. Or consider a healthcare setting. What if an unauthorized user alters the blood type in a patient's medical record prior to a surgery?
Oh, that's life or death.
It literally is. The data hasn't been stolen. It hasn't been leaked to the public or the press, but its integrity has been compromised.
Yeah, it's tainted.
If data is not accurate, or if it has been altered improperly without anyone noticing, the entire system has completely failed you, even if confidentiality was perfectly maintained.
Wow.
A system you cannot trust is honestly worse than having no system at all.
That is such a crucial distinction. The silent manipulation of data is arguably more dangerous than a loud smash and grab data theft.
I would argue it is, yeah.
Okay, so what about availability? The document states this means ensuring information and systems are available when needed.
Yes.
How does making sure a server is simply turned on and responsive count as a core cybersecurity standard?
Well, because a system that is perfectly locked down but impossible to access is a completely useless system.
I guess that's true.
You could theoretically achieve perfect confidentiality and perfect integrity by unplugging a server, encasing it in solid concrete, and dropping it to the bottom of the ocean.
Right, nobody is getting that data.
Nobody. Not the attackers, and certainly not the people who actually need it to do their jobs.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
If a hospital is hit by a cyber threat, say a ransomware attack that encrypts their whole network, and doctors cannot access patient records during a medical emergency.
Then the system is down.
Right. The confidentiality of those records is completely irrelevant in that moment. The availability is gone. That is a massive, catastrophic security failure.
Wow, okay.
So ISO 27001 demands a rigorous balance. You must protect the secrets, you must guarantee the accuracy, and you must ensure the systems are highly resilient and actually there when you need to use them.
I love that framing. Confidentiality, integrity, availability.
Yeah.
The three pillars of the structure.
Exactly.
So moving from the theory to the practice,
Right.
how does a massive organization actually operationalize this balance? Our source says that at the very core of ISO 27001 is something called the Information Security Management System, the ISMS.
Yes, the ISMS. If the standard is the building code, the ISMS is the engine room continuously running the entire operation.
The source outlines 4 structured jobs for this ISMS. Identify information security risks, implement security controls, monitor and improve security processes, and ensure ongoing protection of sensitive data.
Right.
Looking at those 4 steps, it feels to me like the ISMS is almost a living entity. It is not a static object.
It really isn't.
You don't just snap a padlock on a digital door, dust off your hands, and declare, well, we are secure.
Yeah, that would be a disaster.
It feels much more like hiring an entire security apparatus that constantly patrols the perimeter, checking the locks, and then systematically upgrades the defenses if they notice a new type of threat lurking around.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it. And the defining word from our source material here is continuously.
Continuously, yes.
ISO 27301 is a framework for establishing, implementing, maintaining, and continuously improving the ISMS.
Right, because the threats never stop.
The reality of enterprise security is that the threat landscape is not static. It shifts every single day.
So the defense has to shift with it.
Exactly. If your security system isn't continuously monitoring and improving its processes, it will become obsolete almost immediately. The ISMS is an ongoing, relentless cycle.
Identify, implement, monitor, improve.
Yes. You identify a new risk, you implement a control to mitigate it, you monitor the environment to see if the control actually works, and then you improve it over and over again.
Okay, so This living engine, this ISMS, is running continuously in the background. But what exactly is it monitoring?
A lot of things.
Yeah, the source document gives us this fantastic 8-point checklist of what the standard actually covers. And I don't want to just read this like a table of contents.
No, please don't.
Because looking at these areas, they weave together to paint a really vivid picture of what a secure ecosystem actually requires.
They do, and they follow a very logical progression, starting from the very top of the organization all the way down to the physical hardware.
Right, because it starts with security policies and governance, which, makes sense. Governance means you have leadership that is actually accountable.
Yes.
If you don't have documented policies dictating how data should be handled, you just have a bunch of IT people guessing what the rules are.
It establishes the foundation. Governance ensures that security isn't just an IT problem, it is a board-level directive.
Okay, so once leadership sets those baseline rules, how do they actually know what they're defending against? Because an enterprise network is too big to defend every single endpoint equally.
Right, you can't protect everything 100%.
Which brings us to the next area, risk assessment and risk treatment.
This is where organizations have to take a hard look in the mirror.
Yeah.
You cannot protect yourself if you don't systematically identify your specific vulnerabilities. Organizations have to quantify their risks and then make strategic decisions on how to treat them.
Like deciding where to spend the budget.
Exactly. Do they spend millions to patch a specific vulnerability? Do they accept a certain level of risk? Do they transfer the risk by buying specialized insurance?
Ah, okay.
The ISMS forces them to have a documented, logical plan rather than just reacting blindly.
So you have the rules and you know your risks. Now you have to control who actually gets inside the network.
Right.
The source lists access control and identity management. Now, we all know about passwords and multi-factor authentication.
Sure.
But in a massive corporation, identity management has to be way more complex than just a digital bouncer at the door, right?
Vastly more complex. Think of it more like a highly sophisticated hotel keycard system.
Okay, I like that.
The keycard might get an entry-level employee through the front doors and into the lobby, but it absolutely should not grant them access to the penthouse suites, the financial records room, or the electrical basement.
Right, they don't need to be in there.
Identity management under ISO 27001 is about enforcing the principle of least privilege. You only get access to the exact data you need to do your job and not a single byte more.
That is a great analogy. But let's say someone bypasses that hotel keycard system. Right, an attacker gets in, or an insider decides to go rogue.
Oh.
The next area the standard mandates is cryptography and data protection. This is essentially the mathematical safety net.
It is the ultimate fallback, yeah.
Okay.
Cryptography scrambles the data into complex algorithms. So if a bad actor bypasses your access controls and manages to exfiltrate a massive database of sensitive customer information.
They just have a bunch of scrambled data.
Exactly. Cryptography ensures that all they are holding is unreadable, useless gibberish. Without the decryption keys, the data has no value to them whatsoever.
Okay, so we've locked down the network, we've managed identities, we've encrypted the data. But here's where the source material genuinely surprised me.
Oh, yeah.
The very next area of coverage mandated by this cybersecurity standard is physical and environmental security. Wait, physical?
Yep.
Why does an international standard focused on cyber threats care about the physical environment?
This circles perfectly back to your earlier question about the Electrotechnical Commission.
Huh?
We get so completely caught up in the digital abstraction of the cloud that we forget the cloud is actually just a massive collection of physical servers sitting in a very real building somewhere.
It's just someone else's computer.
Exactly. What is the point of having the most sophisticated, state-of-the-art cryptography if someone can just physically walk into an unsecured server room, yank a hard drive out of a rack, put it in their backpack, and just walk out the front door?
Wow, yeah. Or what if someone accidentally leaves the door propped open? Or what if the building's HVAC system fails and the servers literally melt down?
Exactly. That ties directly back to availability.
Oh, man. Everything is connected.
It really is. If an environmental disaster, a flood, a fire, a massive power grid failure destroys the physical servers, your data is no longer available.
Which is a failure of the standard.
Yes. Physical security, meaning biometric locks on doors, surveillance cameras, security guards, and advanced fire suppression systems, is just as vital to cybersecurity as a firewall.
That is such a crucial reality check. You cannot have digital trust without physical walls.
No.
Okay, let's keep moving through the framework. The next two areas are incident management and business continuity and disaster recovery.
Right.
Now, wait. I'm genuinely a bit confused here. How is incident management fundamentally different from business continuity? They both just sound like what an organization does when things go horribly wrong.
It is a really common confusion, but they serve two very distinct parallel functions.
Okay, break it down for me.
Incident management is the immediate tactical response. It is the plan for what the security team does the absolute second the alarm bells go off.
Like the SWAT team.
Yeah, exactly. How quickly can they isolate the infected servers? How do they conduct the digital forensics to find the attacker? How do they communicate the breach to the authorities and to the public? That is incident management, putting out the fire.
Okay, so then what is business continuity?
Business continuity is ensuring the company survives while the fire is burning. If a bank's primary server farm in New York is completely compromised and the incident management team has to take it offline, business continuity is the logistical plan to instantly fail over all operations to a secondary backup server farm in Texas.
So the customers don't even notice.
The goal of business continuity is to ensure that a customer trying to use their debit card to buy groceries the next morning has absolutely no idea that a massive cyber incident is currently happening.
I see. Incident management is the fire department. Business continuity is the management team ensuring the business still generates revenue while the building is hosed down.
That is a perfect way to summarize it, honestly.
Which brings us to the final major area covered in our source outline: supplier and third-party security.
And realistically, this might be the single most critical and difficult point in the entire framework.
Because you can't control them directly.
Exactly. No modern organization operates in an isolated vacuum anymore. A massive healthcare network uses third-party software for its billing.
Right.
A financial tech company uses a third-party cloud provider for data storage. They use external vendors for HR, for customer support, for analytics.
It is an endless web of digital supply chains.
It is. And ISO 27001 states unequivocally that you cannot just secure your own internal servers, pat yourself on the back, and ignore your partners.
That makes sense.
You have to secure your entire ecosystem. If you grant a third-party supplier API access to your databases, you are fundamentally responsible for ensuring their security posture is just as rigorous as yours.
Because they're a backdoor.
Absolutely, because an attacker won't spend months trying to break through your heavily fortified front door. They will just breach your vulnerable third-party billing vendor and use their legitimate access to walk right into your network.
Wow. When you weave all these areas together, from the executive governance rules to the physical locks on the doors to the immediate incident response all the way out to auditing third-party suppliers, you really see the immense scale of this standard.
It's massive.
It is a monumental undertaking for any organization to build this ISMS and manage all of these moving parts continuously. So who is actually doing this? Who is going through the immense effort and financial cost of implementing ISO 27001?
Well, according to our source material, it is the heavy hitters of the global economy. We are talking about major technology companies, banks and financial institutions, healthcare organizations, government agencies, and major cloud service providers.
Basically, the entities that hold the most sensitive, personal, and valuable information on the planet.
Exactly. And the source notes that many of these organizations don't just use the framework internally, they pursue formal ISO 27001 certification.
What does that mean, practically?
This means they actually bring in rigorous, independent, external auditors to verify that their ISMS genuinely meets all the requirements of the standard, rather than just, grading their own homework.
And bringing this directly back to you, the listener. This is exactly why you should care about what might initially seem like a dry, bureaucratic document.
Yeah, it affects everyone.
When you decide to use a new enterprise cloud provider to store your company's proprietary data, or you download a new banking application to manage your finances, looking for that ISO 27001 certified badge provides a profound level of peace of mind.
It really does.
It means the organization isn't just making up its own security rules on the fly. It means they are adhering to a systematic, globally recognized standard that forces them to constantly monitor, improve, and protect your data across every single level of their business operations.
Yeah. So to summarize the core takeaways from our sources today, ISO 27001 isn't just a simple checklist of IT rules.
Got it from it.
Right. It is a systemic, global standard built around a living information security management system. That ISMS acts as a continuous engine to safeguard the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of data, covering everything from executive-level policies down to the physical environmental controls in the server room.
It really is the ultimate blueprint for digital trust.
It is.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder, based on what we just discussed regarding the framework. We spent some time exploring how the standard mandates strict supplier and third-party security.
Yes.
Think about the sheer volume of apps, services, and platforms you interact with every single day. If one of their deeply embedded third-party suppliers, a niche analytics or billing company you have never even heard of, gets breached,
Oh, yeah.
how far down that digital supply chain does the true responsibility for your personal data really go?
A phenomenal and highly complex question, and one that enterprise organizations grapple with every single day.
Definitely something to mull over the next time you casually click "I agree" on a terms of service pop-up.
For sure.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Make sure you visit WeCyberYou.com for more content like that. Stay curious, stay secure, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.